Minnesota winter mornings don't just bite, they devour. Jennifer Brown hunched her shoulders against the dawn's razor-edge cold, her breath pluming in the hospital parking lot's sulphurous light. The dashboard clock blinked 7 a.m. as her old sedan coughed to life. Hurry, Aiden would be late. Life was a ledger of minutes, and Jennifer was forever in deficit. Between night shifts at St. Mary's and raising her 12-year-old son alone in Willowbrook, balance was a theoretical concept. "Mom, you'll be at the game, right?" Aiden asked over breakfast, his cereal circling the bowl. A curtain of too long brown hair fell over his eyes, her eyes, wide and watchful. "Another shift tonight, honey, but Coach Jim is recording it." The apology tasted stale, recited too often. Aiden's shrug was a masterpiece of practiced understanding. "'S'okay, I'm gonna hit a three-pointer." The smile he flashed was bright, brittle, and it broke her heart a little. The phone rang. Her mother, Martha. Jennifer answered, bracing. "You didn't pick up yesterday." "Night shift. Mom, we need to finalize the list for Brittany's wedding." Martha's voice, polished and cold as river stone, bypassed the excuse. "You and the boy are coming. We'll be there. I'm arranging coverage. See that you do. This isn't just a wedding. Robert Carter is an architect. Important." The word hung there, an indictment of Jennifer's own unimportant life. "And ensure Aiden dresses appropriately. Robert's family is refined." Martha saw her eldest daughter, a single mother, a nurse, and her fatherless grandson as a smudge on the perfect portrait of the family she curated. Brittany, the favored younger daughter, hotel manager, accountant, soon to be Mrs. Robert Carter, was the gleaming centerpiece. "The planning committee meets Thursday. I have a parent-teacher conference that day." "Always something." Martha sighed, the sound heavy with disappointment. "Brittany wanted you as a bridesmaid. You know, she's hurt." Another fiction, Jennifer thought. Brittany had chosen her sorority sisters, but in Martha's narrative, Jennifer's absence was always a character flaw. After the call, she leaned against the counter, the silence of the kitchen a physical pressure. For 3 months, every conversation had been a satellite orbiting Brittany's wedding planet. "You okay, Mom?" Aiden asked, his perception a subtle, startling thing. "Grandma's just excited." "I'm excited for the chocolate fountain," he said, and his genuine delight was a small, warm light in the room. A text chimed on her phone later. "Brittany. Working on seating. Can Aiden sit still? Maybe near the back?" Jennifer put the phone down, screen against the table. The weeks ahead stretched, long and thin as a wire. On the wedding morning, a different tension crackled in their small apartment. Aiden stood before the mirror, a navy tie snarled in his fists. "I can't do it," he muttered. Jennifer set aside her iron, her borrowed navy dress now passably smooth, and went to him. "Here," she said, her fingers taking the silk. "The Windsor knot, a life skill." "This suit cost a lot," he said softly, not looking at her. It had 3 months of overtime, hidden away in an envelope marked special. "It's for a special day," she said, evading. "And you look incredibly handsome." "Really?" "The handsomest there." She kissed his cheek, his smile momentarily banishing the shadows from the room. In the mirror, her reflection seemed a stranger. Tired eyes, borrowed clothes, adequate. "You look beautiful, Mom," Aiden said from the doorway. Her breath hitched. "Thank you, honey." Martha's call came as they got in the car. "Don't be late. Family photos are starting." "We're on our way." "Brittany's anxious. She wasn't sure you'd." Martha trailed off, then pivoted. "Can Aiden manage himself during the ceremony? He won't fidget?" "He's 12, Mother, not a toddler." Jennifer's grip tightened on the wheel. "I know, but his circumstances are unique." The delicate euphemism, hanging in the static. After she hung up, Aiden stared out at the passing snow. "Grandma doesn't really like me, does she?" The question, quiet and direct, lanced through her. "She has a hard time showing it, but she does." The Marriott's garden was a frost-dusted fantasyland of white roses and lavender. "Wow," Aiden breathed. "It's like a castle." Martha descended upon them in the lobby, a vision in lavender silk and pearls. "There you are." Her appraisal was swift. Jennifer's dress, Aiden's suit, a flicker of surprise. "Aiden, you look very nice." She turned, Brittany's in the suite. The photos are waiting. The bride's room was a swirl of silk and hairspray. Brittany, enthroned amidst stylists, was porcelain perfect. Jenny, I was getting worried. We're on time, Jennifer said evenly. Brittany's smile didn't reach her eyes. Aiden, sweetie, the dessert table is amazing. You should explore. Once he was shooed away, the mask slipped. Martha drew Jennifer aside, Brittany at her elbow. Now, about the seating, Martha began, her voice low and firm. Robert's family has many prominent guests. His father knows the mayor. We've put his cousins at the main family table. So we'll sit at table 9. Brittany interjected smoothly. Near the back. It's quieter there. We just feel it's best if you don't draw attention. Martha finished. This is Brittany's day. The words were a cold weight in Jennifer's stomach. Table 9. By the kitchen doors. She swallowed the hot rush of humiliation. Of course. Whatever you need. Oh, so cooperative. Brittany trilled a laugh. Thanks, sis. The photo session was a study in subtle exclusion. Just immediate family for this one. The photographer called, and Jennifer and Aiden stepped back, their hands finding each other. It's okay, she whispered to his bowed head. We're here for the chocolate fountain, remember? They took their assigned seats in the last row as the ceremony began. Aiden marveled at the chandeliers, the flowers, his wonder a shield against the chill of the arrangement. Jennifer watched Brittany glide down the aisle, a pang of complex love cutting through the resentment. The reception hall was a dazzle of crystal and light. Table 9 was indeed by a service entrance, the clatter of plates a constant soundtrack. At the distant main table, Brittany shone, Martha held court, and Robert looked the part of the elegant groom. There it is, Aiden pointed to the glistening chocolate fountain, his earlier discomfort forgotten. We'll go soon, Jennifer promised, her resolve firm. For him, just get through today for him. Dinner was served, toasts were made. As dessert plates were cleared, the MC took the microphone, his voice booming with false cheer. Now, for a bit of fun before the cake, the happy couple has a special surprise. Jennifer sipped her wine, detached. Another speech. We have a very special guest with us today. The MC grinned, consulting a card. Let's hear it for Aiden Brown, the boy with the mystery dad. Come on up, Aiden. The glass slipped from Jennifer's fingers. Red wine bled across the white linen like a wound. A sickening wave of laughter, uncertain and then rolling, filled the room. Where's our special guest, Aiden? Aiden had shrunk in his chair, his face a mask of crimson horror, tears cutting silent tracks through his freckles. Jennifer's world narrowed to a tunnel of white noise. At the main table, Brittany was clapping, delighted. Martha leaned to a companion, smiling. A little humor lightens everything, she said, her voice carrying. Motion returned to Jennifer's limbs in a surge of fire. She stood, her body trembling, but her voice was arctic calm. Aiden, we're leaving. Mom, he choked. Wait. The command cut through the laughter. Robert Carter was on his feet, microphone in hand. Brittany's smile vanished. There's something that needs to be said, he stated, his voice grave. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. Jennifer froze, shielding Aiden, her mind reeling. What now? What cruel encore is this? Robert extracted a single, aged paper. The truth about Aiden Brown. Robert, stop this, Brittany hissed, half rising. He ignored her, his gaze finding Jennifer's across the gulf of tables. His eyes held no mockery, only a profound, unsettling seriousness. This, he said, holding the paper aloft, is a paternity test. From 12 years ago, the room ceased to breathe. It names Daniel Brown as the father, but Daniel Brown was an alias. He paused, the silence now absolute, crushing. My alias, before I was Robert Carter. A teacup shattered somewhere. Martha made a small, gasping sound. Robert's eyes never left Jennifer's stricken face. I didn't know about the pregnancy. I was young, stupid, and I ran. But I never forgot. Finding Brittany, it was fate leading me back. To Willowbrook. To you. He looked at Aiden, his composure finally cracking with raw emotion. To my son. The luxurious hall, the glittering lights, the perfect wedding, all of it dissolved into a silent, staggering tableau. Jennifer could only stare. the past and present colliding as Robert Carter, the groom, the architect, the stranger, took a trembling step toward their son. The world seemed to slow, the stunned silence stretching like taffy. Robert held up a calming hand, a silent plea to stay. He withdrew a sheaf of papers from the envelope, his movements deliberate. "These are documents," he announced, his voice cutting through the murmurs, "to legally welcome Aiden Brown as my son." He held them aloft, a petition for a legal name change to Carter, the formation papers for an educational trust. He will no longer be a boy without a father, not in the eyes of the law, nor in the eyes of anyone in this town. Brittany's porcelain complexion drained to chalk, Martha's jaw hung slack, a perfect caricature of shock. Aiden stared, a maelstrom of confusion and dawning wonder in his wide eyes. "What is this?" Brittany's whisper was a frayed thread of sound. "This isn't funny, Robert." It was never meant to be. His tone was flint. Leaving the head table, he walked through the parted sea of guests, each step echoing in the hush. He didn't stop until he was before them, then knelt, bringing himself to Aiden's level. "Aiden," he said, his voice softening, "I would be honored to be your father, but only with your mother's permission, and only if you want it." Aiden's gaze flew to Jennifer. She saw her own bewilderment mirrored there, tinged with a protective fury. "What game are you playing?" she asked, her voice low and dangerous. "We are not your props." Robert stood, meeting her glare without flinching. "No game." He took the microphone again, his presence commanding the cavernous room. "I, too, was 12 once," he began, and the final whispers died. "My mother raised me alone. We were poor. People looked down on us." He paused, the memory raw in his eyes. "At a company picnic, I was introduced as the fatherless kid for a cheap laugh. I never forgot the shame." Brittany had gone very still. "When I met Aiden at a basketball clinic, I saw that same quiet resilience. I saw a boy being shaped by the same whispers." Robert's voice gained strength, ringing with conviction. "Family isn't just blood. It's a choice. It's showing up." He looked at the documents in his hand, then at Aiden. "This is my choice, to give him my name, my support, and my protection, so he never has to hear that cruel joke again." A choked sob escaped Brittany. She fled, a swirl of white silk, with Martha scrambling after her, but the room didn't follow them. Instead, applause erupted, first isolated, then swelling into a standing ovation. Tears streamed down cheeks not their own. Aiden looked up at Robert, his small face a canvas of awe. Jennifer pulled her son close, her mind reeling. Gratitude warred with deep-seated suspicion. This was too much, too public, too neat. As the applause continued, Robert turned to her. "Please," he said, quiet enough for only her to hear, "give me 10 minutes to explain." In a small, book-lined anteroom, the roar of the hall muted to a dull hum. Jennifer crossed her arms, a fortress against hope. "Explain, now." "First," Robert said, "the joke was entirely Brittany's. I found the MC's script this morning. I was going to stop it, but then I realized a better rebuttal was needed." "The papers?" "Genuine. Filed with my lawyer last week." He ran a hand through his hair. "I've been volunteering as a coach for months. I know Aiden. I know his jump shot, his favorite books, how he worries about you working too much." He saw her shock. "You're never at the games, the night shifts." I wanted to help." "Why?" The word was a plea. "Because no one helped my mother," he said, his own vulnerability surfacing. "I have resources now. I can build a shield for a boy who reminds me of myself. It's that simple, and that complicated." A soft knock. Aiden peeked in. "Is it over?" Jennifer opened her arm, and he nestled against her. "Everyone's talking," he mumbled. "Are you okay?" Robert asked him directly. Aiden considered it. "I hated it. Then, I didn't. I'm confused." "Aiden," Robert said, leaning forward, "this offer means security. It means no more blanks on the father line. But I need a promise from you. You take care of your mother. She's your real hero." Aiden looked at Jennifer. "What should we do?" Her mind raced through a lifetime of broken promises and thin margins. This was a lifeline, but who was holding the other end? "It's purely legal," Robert said, anticipating her fear. "Co-guardianship, a trust fund. Maybe I get to coach his team. Nothing you don't approve, always." Before she could answer, the door flew open, Brittany stood there, magnificent in her fury. Martha a grim shadow behind her. "You've destroyed me." Brittany spat at Robert. "No," he said, weary. "You did that when you thought humiliating a child was entertainment." Martha turned on Jennifer. "You planned this, you spiteful." "Enough, Mother." Jennifer's voice, cold and final, silenced her. "The only spite here is yours. It ends now." The aftermath was a quiet earthquake. Brittany moved to Chicago, her social media a glittering facade. Martha retreated into a shame-filled silence. 1 year later. The swish of the net was a perfect sound. Aiden Carter, celebrated his three-pointer with a wide grin, turning first to Robert on the sidelines, then to Jennifer in the stands. She clapped, her nurse's uniform crisp in the summer sun. After the win, Aiden ran over, sweat-soaked and glowing. "Did you see? Amazing," Jennifer said, hugging him. "Practice on Saturday?" Robert asked, and Aiden's enthusiastic nod was its own answer. As they walked to the car, Jennifer's phone buzzed. Martha. She silenced it. Later, Robert understood. The scars were still there, but they were fading. He had become a steadfast, predictable presence. Math tutor on Thursdays, basketball on weekends, a partner in parenting. Nothing more, nothing less. The trust fund was established. The future was no longer a terrifying blank. At home, after Aiden was asleep, Jennifer sat in the quiet living room. The memory of the wedding had transformed from a wound into a strange, painful origin story. The doorbell rang the next morning. Martha stood on the step, stripped of her usual armor of jewelry and judgment, wearing simple clothes and a hesitant expression. "Jennifer, may I come in?" Inside, Martha didn't sit. She wrung her hands. "I've watched him this past year. Robert, how he is with Aiden." Her voice broke. "He showed me what I should have been. What family, what it really means to protect your own." A tear traced a line through her powder. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know I see it now." Jennifer looked at her mother, really looked, and saw not the imposing matriarch, but a woman humbled by her own failings. The anger, a constant companion for so long, softened at the edges. Forgiveness wasn't a switch to flip. It was a path to walk, and it started with a single step. She reached out and took her mother's trembling hand. "Would you like to stay for coffee, Mom?" It was not an end, but a fragile, possible beginning, and for the first time in a very long time, it felt like enough.